What are the 3 most unrealistic expectations about grad school? Stick around and let's talk about it today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy and personal academic mentor, Dr. Phoenix Singh, coming at you to be able to talk about the 3 most unrealistic expectations that people usually have about grad school. Now, you guys know me, I am your personal grad school application coach, and with an over 80% success rate, I help literally over 100 of you per year apply to be able to get into some of the most difficult programs in the United States, Canada, and abroad. And let me tell you right now that so often I do sessions with y'all where we talk about what we should expect once we get into grad school. Now, whenever I have these sessions, I really like to always ask you, those of you who've worked with me, you know this, I like to ask you, what are your expectations? What do you think you're going to be doing? What do you think the role of your target supervisor is, the role of that target program in terms of what they're going to equip you with by the time that you graduate with either that master's degree or that doctorate? And I have found that overwhelmingly that there are 3 expectations that I think it's really important to be able to quash. Why do I say that? Because you guys know me, I'm a straight shooter, and I want you to go into grad school with your eyes wide open. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first unrealistic expectation that I find that people have is the belief that your supervisor's role is to train you to answer the research questions that you want to investigate, when in actuality, it's the exact opposite. The idea here more than anything else is that when it comes to having a target supervisor, and to be honest with you, the higher the name, the more so this is true in terms of their reputation in the field. And so many of you, of course, want to go for really the top dogs in your field in terms of the folks that you want to apply to work with. And at the end of the day, these folks usually, if they're doing research, they're grant funded, right? And those funders are telling that individual what they need to be researching. Now, obviously, they are choosing the grants that they want to apply for, and they may say, okay, I'm going to respond to an RFP, which is a request for proposals, right? And they're going to respond to an RFP, and they're going to say, okay, we'll investigate what you want us to investigate. But then they always put a little bit extra there for themselves in terms of the things that they're really passionate about, in terms of their personal their pet research line, as it were, all right? So because of that, because they're getting funded to be able to investigate certain research questions, those are going to be the research questions that they're going to expect you to be able to help them on at the end of the day. Remember that we as graduate students are soldiers, and the last thing that we want to do is to be able to go to our general, which is going to be the target supervisor, and to be able to say, hey, listen, I know that that's what you're interested in, and I'm interested in something adjacent to that, so your job, because technically they are usually getting paid to supervise us, right? Or they're getting funded to be able to have us as grad students under a given grant. Now, in that case, obviously, it's a lot more clear that we should be helping them with that work. In the first scenario, not as clear, but it is still the truth. We need to accept that we are in this training phase of our career. Now, does that mean that our supervisor should be able to treat us however they want to and so forth, and demean us or put us down or treat us poorly in any way, shape, or form? Absolutely not. That is not what I'm saying in the slightest. But what I am saying here is that people usually have pretty set in their minds what they want to investigate in grad school. And when they get there and all of a sudden their supervisor is telling them, all right, so these are the types of projects we need you to be working on. Yes, you can add some of your own kind of flavor into them and so forth. And yes, out of your grad school project or projects, there may be certain facets that you have more or less control over. But at the end of the day, the most important thing for us is to be able to take this as a time of apprenticeship, all right? And going in with that mindset is going to be way more helpful than going in with the mindset that I had, I'll tell you right now, and so many of us have going into grad school, that we essentially call the shots because oftentimes we're paying tuition to be able to go to these programs. So we have this tacit expectation that our supervisor somehow works for us. And I'm telling you right now, those of you who've been to grad school, you know that is simply not the case. Unrealistic expectation number 2 is that you're going to get straight A's. top marks, and that those marks actually matter. I've made videos about this in the past. I'm going to reiterate it right now. So many of you are type A like myself, and you have gotten straight A's. You've got a 3.96 like I did as an undergraduate, and you really, really cared. You worked your butt off. And because of that, you know that probably was part of what got you into graduate school. So now you have these expectations of yourself that you need to get the exact same grades going forward. This is simply not the case. Now, let's put it this way. The example I always give is, let's say that you're going into surgery. All right, and you're there on the operating table and they're just about to put the anesthesia mask on you and you're really scared. And all of a sudden the surgeon comes over to be able to assure you that everything's fine. And you say, whoa, doc, wait a second. What was your medical school GPA? That's not a thing. Nobody's ever done that. And that's what I'm talking about here, right? In graduate school, it is much more important for you to be able to acquire the practical knowledge that you need to succeed in your field. Now, obviously, I'm in psychology, so, there's two sides of this. It could be practical knowledge to actually go and be a clinician. It could be practical knowledge to be able to become a researcher. I need to acquire those skill sets. Oftentimes in grad programs, what ends up happening is that our professors are going to end up giving us significantly more work and particularly more readings than we can actually do. And if you ask them, most of the time they'll actually admit that that's what they're doing. They want to equip you with as much knowledge as possible, as many resources as possible. That said, realistically, there's like no way you can get all of these skill sets mastered and at the same time get straight A's and everything. You need to prioritize what's going to help you to be able to get ahead in your career, whether that's getting research publications or getting leading practica. Whatever it happens to be, that's what I want you to focus on. It is okay if you are a straight B student. Most of the time, you take a look at the handbook for your particular program for grad school. It's going to tell you straight up what you need in terms of to be able to stay in the program. And most of the time, it's like a B minus average. Now, let me tell you right now, I am not telling you to do the absolute minimum to be able to get by. This has nothing to do with that. What I am saying is that in order to be able to get, let's say you want to be a tenure track professor, in order to get one of those coveted positions, and they are exceptionally rare and getting rarer by the year, in order to be able to lock those things in, you need to be focusing on things like how to be able to write grant applications, how to be able to give conference symposia, as well as how to be able to give conference papers at leading conferences. We need to focus on things like publishing in high impact factor journals. All of these different pieces of the puzzle, we need to be mastering and to be able to demonstrate our competency in those different core areas. These are the sorts of things that you're going to learn, so with your Publication Academy membership. So definitely head over there if you haven't taken a look already. Those are the core sorts of skill sets that in a step-by-step how-to fashion, we teach you how to be able to do so that you can actually get ahead in your career. Especially, my God, if you're an undergraduate right now trying to get into grad school, the sorts of digital badge micro credentials and these things you're going to get at Publication Academy are going to get you ahead more than anything else. I can promise you that. It's a pretty low monthly fee as well because we got a student discount. So go ahead and check it out down here. But let me tell you right now, you do not need to be able to get straight A's to be able to get ahead in your career. I will tell you that right now in grad school, it's just not a thing, okay? And finally, unrealistic expectation about grad school. Number 3, this is one that honestly, I think that a lot of people don't realize, because for us, getting that master's and particularly getting that doctorate in whatever our area is the Mount Everest of academia. This is usually the hardest thing we've ever done professionally in our lives. So when we kind of get to that pinnacle, we kind of expect that we're going to be literally like masters of the universe and not just have a master's, right? But in actuality, when you actually finish graduate school, you've got the doctorate, let's say you do a clinical psych PhD like I did, you graduate with the PhD, we feel on top of the world. In actuality, though, you are at the very, very bottom of the totem pole when it comes to that career field. And that really sucks, to be honest with you, from a perceptual perspective. Kind of feels like, wait a second, I did all this and still I'm at the bottom of the thing? I don't want you to think like that, though, okay? The fact of the matter is you're going to graduate, and just like everybody else, definitely like me, okay, you're not going to be that good at what you do, and that's a good thing. And you may say, Dr. Stan, what the heck are you talking about? Here's the thing. I've got the doctorate in psychology, okay? If you are as good of a therapist the day that you graduate grad school, between the ages of 25 to 35 usually, right, as you are at the age of 65, then trust me on this one, the education system has completely and utterly failed you, okay? Because this means that after you have left, you haven't learned to learn well enough to be able to actually become an even better professional over time. You guys are lifelong learners. This is why you want to go to grad school in the first place, because you're passionate about education and getting ahead, all right? So I don't want you to go in saying, by the time that I'm done, I'm going to be the leading expert in my field. I'm going to be one of the top dogs. You're hopefully going to have some publications. Maybe you'll even have gotten a grant to be able to start your own lab if you're lucky enough to be able to get a tenure track position. Maybe you've got a grant to be able to pursue a postdoctoral fellowship for several years. These things would be amazing. Those are the things that we should be shooting for, all right? That's it. We shouldn't expect that we're going to get out there and we're going to be the best of the best, all right? And that can be really, really tough because of how much time, how many resources we've kind of, put into this thing. But again, going into the grad school process with our eyes wide open is absolutely critical. So my hope is that this video has helped you to do that at least a little bit. All right, guys, I so appreciate y'all. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to share this video with your friends, colleagues, and students. I hope you guys have a great day, and don't forget to be your best self. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.